You're listening to Underworld on the Ghost Radio Network.
Ghost Radio Australia.
Listen.
Hauntings. The unexplained. Synchronicity. EVP.
So why are you?
I heard that.
Absolutely fascinating.
What are Midnights? Is it real? What do you think?
I love you.
The unseen.
I'm alright.
11:11. Who or what are mutilating cattle?
Listen.
Poltergeists. Your stories. Your experiences. Listen close.
Maria Elita is a psychic life coach, international speaker, presenter and author. Her latest book, The Naked Entrepreneur, is soon to be released. The Naked Entrepreneur, what does that actually mean? Let's find out. Welcome back to Ghost Radio, Maria Elita.
Always a pleasure, Leah.
Now, The Naked Entrepreneur, that's a pretty gutsy, ballsy title for a book.
Oh, look, I actually came up with it, and it's a co-authored book with an entrepreneur called Troy Hazard.
Mm-hmm.
And I came up with the title, and we were trying to create a title that was a little bit different from your normal business book.
Yep.
And a little bit different from your normal spiritual book. And we were discussing the story, which I'll talk about in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I said it has to be, about his journey and me assisting him in his journey. And I said, you know what happened when you became the way you did? I said, you got naked, you got real. And I said, I think we should call the book The Naked Entrepreneur, because that's what happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it came up. And I've actually sent that title around to some author friends in America and all around Australia. And the Americans have come back and said, oh, that's a bit shocking.
Yeah.
But the Aussies are like, go for it, girlfriend.
Yeah. All right, so tell us about the journey of this book, what it's about, and what people can expect to be reading it and understanding from it.
Well, The Naked Entrepreneur, the byline of it is a millionaire's journey from fear to true wealth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a spiritual journey, and as a soul coach or a psychic life coach or whatever you want to call me, a spiritual coach, I basically help all sorts of people, normal people, housewives, corporate people, people who are really into the spiritual world.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I have sort of somehow attracted a lot of millionaires and very wealthy people as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Troy came into my life on December 28th, a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a gentleman who came through another person, who was another entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
to me, and who actually was going through a bit of a life-changing situation in his life, which could have been a full breakdown, which actually became his breakthrough. So the story it's really cute the way we've done it. I don't know if cute's the technical name, but the way we've done it is a he says, she says kind of a book.
Okay.
So the entrepreneur says this,
Mm-hmm.
the soul coach says this.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to document the story because I just suggested it to him, and being the psychic, he just does as he's told, because I know the future.
Yeah.
And I just said, look, we need to document this because I know this is going to be turned into a book, this story.
Mm-hmm.
And we did speak about it, and we just started speaking about it. But I thought it was very interesting, his journey of how someone who had created, remarkable wealth, who was living a very luxurious life, who pretty much had everything, could be at a point where he could have, potentially a breakdown. And, it's just epidemic wherever you go because it's wealth from an external part of you, not really an internal part of you. So that's how the book was started and created. And we just wanted to give a message on sort of a corporate level as well, and especially with what's happening in the States at the moment. I mean, people are really finding out what true wealth is.
Well, I was going to ask you that it is lucky that you're a psychic, because most people, if you said, you're going to America, people would go, what? But, I mean, we've discussed, and you're totally okay with it, aren't you? You're more than willing to go there. You feel safe on a personal level, but also, you being the type of person you are, you're ready to get stuck in there and do some soul coaching to a place that seriously needs it.
Oh, it's amazing because I am bombarded with people who are, family and friends, but as well as clients and, I don't know what you want to call them, support people or fans of what I do. And they are asking, Maria, at this time in America, how could you even want to go over there? And I've always seen myself as the sort of person who's meant to be in the front line. And what's happening in America at the moment is it's like an internal war zone. And that's where I do the best work. I love it.
Yeah.
And that's when people come to me anyway on a personal level. And there's nothing more rewarding for me than having a millionaire who thinks he's done all the right things to create the perfect life and happiness come to me and say, my life's screwed. and
you're like, saying, yeah, baby.
and he's saying, but I did this, and the West told me if I just made a lot of money, and if I just was, had a lot of fun, and the West told me if I just, created a lot of experiences that should have made me happy, that I should be living the life that I would not get any emptiness at all. But that hole that they're trying to fill with this material world can never be filled with it. So to have someone, and I have lots of them, come to me saying, why am I feeling like this? And to sort of offer them an answer, but they need to go on that journey themselves. So that's, the Naked Entrepreneur is very much like that. It's not like I give him the one answer for him to have this enlightening experience. I just plant little seeds of opportunity for him to grow and find out another way of looking at life.
It kind of reminds me of, on a different level, but it kind of reminds me of Dan Millman's Way of the Peaceful Warrior, where, he Socrates kind of coaches the young gymnast and doesn't really, shall we say, do anything on a physical level, but just constantly asks the right questions so that the person is seeking the right answers. And that's kind of, for me, what the Naked Entrepreneur comes across as.
Well, that's the way I do a lot of my coaching, and I do feel like Socrates. And one thing in the book is it's not, even though it's being released in a business way, but it's business new age, which isn't really done a lot in the States. It's usually business is business, new age is new age. You don't mix oil and water. But our publisher believes in this so much, that's what he's doing. And what I've done, and all the way through the book, I'll be saying to Troy, he'll say, ask me something, and I'll say, have you thought of it this way? And I'll give him a question back. And the way we do it is actually, he mocks me in the book, and he mocks spirituality. He mocks, there's one bit there where I'm even coming back at something that he said to me, and I've written down, he thinks I'm a psycho because he can't understand this psychic thing. And so we have this mocking and toing and froing going on in the book, and that's truth in the story. But all I was doing was basically seeing his truth, and even in that mess and all those belief systems of what he thinks a psychic is or what he thinks a spiritual person is, I'm able to hold a space for him to actually answer his own questions. So, and that's what Socrates does.
Yeah.
In Dan Millman's book, he holds the space, and that's what a good coach does. Holds the space of integrity and truth long enough for the other person to get it.
Yeah.
Yet one thing I cannot stand in coaching, and it's done a lot in America, we're trying to mimic it in Australia, but this intense coaching style of I have the way, here's the 3 keys, this is all you need to do. Pump them up, motivate them, and get them working on adrenaline. And a week or 2 later, the person that you're coaching falls in a bit of a pit. And because you cannot contain that high level of sort of false motivation.
Yeah, yeah.
And it happens a lot in the States, where we'll give you the key, we'll give you the answers, and it's the way it's going to be. Where I feel a good coach is someone who can just plant a seed, stand back and not rescue the person, and actually let them have their own journey, you know, revealed to them. And that's the difference between a good coach and someone who's trying to get into that rescuing role and I'm going to fix you. Because a lot of what I do as a soul coach, I don't see anyone as broken. And if you see someone as broken, you're pretty much trying to say to them that that they can't exist or they can't learn their lessons without you. When you're only in someone's world for a very short period of time. So all you are is a seed planter.
Right. So that's extraordinary the way you kind of explained that there, where you, like you said, you're talking about seed planting, and so you plant the seed and you kind of water it for a while, but you know you stand back and let the vine and the leaves and everything unfurl as it will, and you know, do a bit of pruning, a bit of trimming perhaps, but essentially the plant grows by itself under its own power and under its own direction.
Well, the worst thing that you can do is actually force a seed to be planted. It's like someone who goes to a motivational weekend and they're pumped and they're so psyched. Wow, I'm an individual. I can't believe I'm so empowered. And they force it down people's throats. And they go home and they're pumped for 2 or 3 weeks and they're telling everyone they've just found the way. Just like someone who's a born-again Christian.
Yeah.
I found the way. And what they're doing then is they're telling everyone how great they are, and they're like putting that seed in. They're forcing that seed in. They're bashing that seed in. And that is not how a seed grows.
No.
It is organic. It is a very organic experience. And I've been doing this for enough years now to know that if you force wisdom or information on someone, they will rebel against it. If you just allow it in its own natural way to sit and manifest, there is nothing more for me to do. I, as a coach, and especially a soul coach, has absolute faith and trust in the universe that the universe will allow it to transpire when needed. Now, with your ego, this is the exciting thing. As a coach, or as anyone, our ego gets in the way and says, I need to see a transformation on that person now, otherwise my ego is not going to be pleased. But sometimes as a coach, you may offer wisdom and information where they just go, I'm not listening to you. You're full of crap. You know, this spiritual stuff's all too much.
Yeah.
And I might think, oh no, I've not done my job. I never think I've not done my job. What actually happens is I just allow that person to go away, and I know my job is done because all I've done is planted a seed of wisdom in them. The universe will take care of it. Whenever it takes care of it, it's not my job to fertilise it and make it grow. So, and this is what happens in the Naked Entrepreneur. Troy just happened to get it very quickly. And he was ready, though. He was trying to get in to see me for about 6 months prior to our synchronistic meeting. As I am psychic, I actually purposely refused to see him for 6 months.
Did you really?
I said to the person who was recommending him, most of my clients are through recommendation. I said to him, he is not ready to see me. He is going to have a very big awakening. Something is going to happen to him where he will nearly be at his knees when he comes to see me, and only then will he be able to absorb the information I will give him. And when that time comes, it will be a synchronistic meeting and things will unfold. 6 months later, it happened. And everyone who sort of knew that secret from him went, wow. We sort of thought we needed to get him in there a lot sooner, but I held off enough because he would have rejected the information if I'd given it to him prior. To him getting down to his knees and basically saying, I give up, I hand it up, and I'm not going to try and work this out from a logical space anymore, because he really got to the point where he was emotionally, he just had it. You know, we call it, he hit December 28th. He hit his day of having his breakdown. And we ask people, when is your December 28th? Have you hit it yet? Are you hitting it? And at what point are you going to recognise that it's time for you to have your, you know, spiritual breakthrough or awakening or remembrance?
Because you love that breakdown, turn it into a breakthrough type stuff. That's where you do your best work. Probably anybody who's read The Miracle understands why. It's because it's exactly what you did. I mean, if you know, because you've been there.
Well, I was in marketing, you know, and public relations in corporate Australia before I was doing coaching, especially for business people. I do love doing the business people, and I do love doing arrogant people who are full of ego. And I'm not saying every millionaire is, but I'm saying there's a lot of people who think their way or the business way is the only way. Bring on America's collapse at the moment, because we're seeing a very, very different outcome. You know, we haven't even got to, I believe, my belief system, we haven't even touched what's going to happen over there yet.
Are they at their December 28th, do you think, or not?
No. They're more like at their 6 months prior to December 28th.
Okay, yeah.
Because what's happening over there at the moment, and these are just my beliefs, is that there is a lot that's not being revealed right now. We're still being covered up, you know, with a lot of lies. But the big thing is, what's happening over there is like Band-Aids on cancer. There's an illness that's been manifesting for some time. And it isn't just, it's not a financial crisis. Everyone keeps saying it's a financial crisis. We're going into recession, there's going to be a depression. But what's happening is they're going into the cocoon, and in that cocoon is a time for them to transform into something beautiful. But each one of those individuals, especially in America, to be in a cocoon, you have to go and sit in your own darkness and your own crap for a while. So they're going to do it on a national level. And I'm so excited to be over there because I can't rip them out of their cocoon until it's ready. But they're only going into it right now. They're not ready to come out of it. And we're going to see a lot of people transform. It's going to be swim in a sea of truth or drown in a dam of despair.
Wow.
That's what's going to happen over there. And people are either going to survive and be survivors, and they're going to master their destiny, or they're just going to say, I give up. Not in strength, but they're going to give up and say, I can't do this anymore. And I can't be a part of this. And maybe crumble. Either way, it's a spiritual opportunity to remember who they are without what the West falsely fed them.
And you'll be
and
there.
What that delusional, that concept, you know, we have a stock market which is based on a human construct.
Yep.
It's not even real.
It's not even real, yeah. Talk about the matrix. That's what the stock market is to me.
Well, it is a matrix. And, you know, people say, how can you say it's not real, Maria Elita? But it's something we created. And with that going, you know, to hell, really, what is the belief systems behind those people without it? That's what I'm asking. Who are they without it? Who are they without being connected to this matrix or this construct? And I bet you most of those people could not answer that for me. And it's until you go through your December 28th, or you go through, you know, like what I went through, I call endarkment, like in The Miracle, as you said. Until you go through that, really, it's like you don't even think on those lines. You're too busy, you know, being disillusioned by this world of, you know, happiness addiction, and it's just very delusional.
So you're going to be over there from November the 16th till February, so you're spending a good 3 months in the US and doing book signings and seminars and presentations all across the nation, I would imagine.
Yep.
So you're going to find a lot of people who are probably, like you said, probably going to be coming along and buying the book because they don't know what's happening.
And they don't know what true wealth is.
Yeah, so you'll be able to plant that seed.
That's the byline that's going to sell the book. From fear to true wealth. Now, what we're looking at in America particularly is a lot of people in fear. I can't give them the answer to what's going to happen on the stock market. I can't give them the answer to what's going to happen if they're going to have a job or whatever. But what I can do is help them to connect to their true wealth. I can help them to connect to a space inside of them that is beyond the illusion of what they've created anyway. That's all I can do. That's all I can help. I was at a function last night at a wedding, and it was a gorgeous wedding, and there was a lot of people there who actually were people that I'd coached before, and there was this one surreal moment where I was, and they're all the men, and I do a lot of coaching with successful businessmen, and there was this one moment where I stood there and there was this group of men around me, and we're having this conversation, and they're just saying how much their lives have changed. Wow, Maria, Elita, my life has changed so much. You know, I've got a friend in America. I'm recommending him as soon as you get there. I'm recommending you to go and coach him. And it was this sort of out-of-body experience. And it was amazing because the common denominator with all of those was all I did was help them, held that space for them to see their true wealth. And that was really exciting. I was thinking, wow, I'm in this social dynamic right now, and all these men have got the same story to tell of how they'd changed. And that was all I did, you know, hold the space. And that's all I do really, really well. So it is interesting times, and I am going over for at least 3 months for the first stint. And with Troy, so Troy and I will be doing this. Troy will be focusing on the business side of it, as in I'm going to a lot of business talks, and I'll be going with him. But I really want to go and speak more so in the spiritual market. And the funny thing is, a lot of people think business is separate from spirituality, but business is the greatest illusion ever created. So we're just like spiritual beings creating a business illusion, so it's not separate at all.
And I'm sure you would have found too that, you know, the really successful, you know, Richard Bransons and all of those types of people, I'm sure a lot of what they do, regardless of what their stockbroker tells them and their accountant tells them and their, you know, the CO2 tells them, it comes down to what their gut tells them. And it might take somebody like you to come along and go, hello, that's called intuition.
Well, what happens is a lot of people who are very successful, and because it is, you know, in this book we are focusing on a millionaire who changed his life. So, and I do coach a lot of millionaires. So let's just sort of focus on that. They are very intuitive people.
Yeah.
You do not create wealth like that without being intuitive.
Yeah.
You know, but what happens a lot of times, they can be very intuitive with money, but when it comes to anything on the personal level or the emotional level, they sort of get all cross wires and everything. So I get to teach them that it's no different. It's just life. They seem to have disconnect emotions from business, so they can connect to that intuitive level. They call it being, having instinct, having gut instinct.
Yeah.
But I can teach them how to be more intuitive in their personal lives, and things change immediately. And it's great. I love hearing them talk about, I could feel the energy of that person. They've got really good energy. Or they talk about, wow, that person seems to be in a lot of fear-based programs. I remember being in a fear-based program like that, and I've changed my world. And you start hearing the way they talk my language. And there's nothing more exciting for a coach to see someone get it, to speak your language, and then share that language with other people. You know, they're passing that on to other people.
Yeah.
And that's where that one seed with one person could possibly change 1,000 or 1,000,000 people. You don't know. And if a CEO of a global corporation takes the wisdom on of the soul essence of the true wealth, and then takes that information and then plants seeds through their own business, and that business could potentially have 10,000 people attached to it, or it could have 100 people. That one seed I've put a domino effect. Yeah. That's exciting.
It is. Do you also teach them? I mean, I've got this this vision of business people being like packing every single moment of their day is packed with as much. They've wrung everything out of that minute as what they possibly can. Do you teach these people about the wonderfulness and the joyness of stillness?
Yeah, I teach them stillness, but the first thing they have to get, and the biggest thing, is I teach them how to surrender.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we talk a lot about the law of attraction.
Yeah.
You know, that was the in thing for the time when The Secret came out.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is people wished for more things. Well, I'll use that law of attraction thing to actually wish for more stuff. And sort of created this catch-22, and I'm getting people coming to me a month or two later after The Secret came out saying, you know, I did that law of attraction thing and it's not working and I wanted a Ferrari and I want this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, they're really using it not in the way the universal law is for it. So to get them to understand it's not about wanting, it's actually about surrendering. Surrendering the control, surrendering the fear. They need to do all of that first before they can actually get to the stillness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for instance, in the book, Troy is sitting with me. He's having, you know, basically he's going through a breakdown. And I say to Troy, just stop. And he's there going, I need to do this, and I need to do that, and I've got to plan this, and I've got this and this and this. 5 million things on his mind, and I'm telling him to stop. And I say to him, you focusing on the fear and the control of all those things, is it changing the outcome? And he said, no. I said, is it working for you in a way where you're getting what you want anyway? And he said, no. And I said, well, do me a favour, you're going to surrender it all. And he looked at me, we were on the balcony at the Gold Coast, and he looked at me and said, are you effing nuts? I'm a businessman. I don't do letting go. We control everything. And I said, it ain't working. You're sitting on the balcony. You're here with me, you know, the psycho nut, as he called me.
Yeah.
And I said, and what you're doing is you have an opportunity to do it a different way. So in him learning the law of surrender and beginning to hand some of his stuff over to the universe and saying, you know what, I'm done with this. I don't need to work out, you know, my $1 million takeover today. I'll just hand it over to the universe and I'll sort it out next week. And he started changing, actually handing over continually all these things that were in his mind by starting a surrender journal. And he'd write, I surrender the control of this, or I surrender the fear of this. And he then took a month off work. He'd not taken a month off work in 10 years. Because an entrepreneur goes hard and fast.
Yeah.
And he did, and he realised by him stepping out of his tornado that he had created, he could actually allow the tornado to just organically die. And then go back into it again, recharged, and understand how the principle of the law of surrender works. In that year, his business went up in takings by 40% anyway. From him learning to stand back, not be in fear, not put the energy of fear and control into his life.
Did that confuse him and perplex him somewhat?
Oh, he was ready for it. But as I said to you before, if he had come in 6 months prior and he wasn't ready for that slapping,
yeah,
I'm going to put it, well, I sort of call myself a spiritual dominatrix. Because it is, it's like they need to be slapped really hard. And, you know, and there's nothing airy-fairy or fluffy about what I can do to change their lives. It is potent, and it is like, it's just a whipping at some point. Now, if I had said that to him 6 months prior, even 6 days prior, because he hadn't had that traumatic thing happen to him, he would have said, you have got to be nuts, and I'm not doing it. He still said, you have got to be nuts, but I give up. My way isn't working, so let me try something different. And he was brave enough and courageous enough to try something different. That is what's so brilliant about Troy's story with me. He was one of the brave ones. And now he talks about, here I am, I'm giving you the naked story, I'm giving you myself totally exposed as an entrepreneur who says I have fear, and I'm willing to change my ways, and it is a bit spiritual, and I'm willing to share that message with you guys so you potentially don't have to hit December 28th.
Yeah. You can recognise it. Hey, this sounds a lot like that guy's story. I don't think I'll go that far down the black hole.
Right.
You can start changing it now.
Yeah, and you don't, because I think there's people or teachers in this lifetime There are souls who've come and experienced we're going right down the black hole and going through endarkment, to then share that story, to say to other people, you don't have to go that far. You can actually, because you know what, the biggest thing is to actually say to people, life is always tapping you on the shoulder. Always tapping you on the shoulder for you to live your life in truth and actually start seeing where you use fear to like guide you and let go of that. Life is tapping your shoulder every day. And some people, it's like, you know, having a really serious weight problem. Some people wait until they're 100 kilos overweight to actually address it. Some people, it might be 3 or 4, and they go, you know what, I'm just feeling a little bit uncomfortable. So, and this is the opportunity for people to go, I don't really need to be 100 kilos overweight. I'm just quite happy to maintain something that's, you know, just at a reasonable, challenge. So, yeah, it's up to the person. I see this all the time, and I'll say to them, this is the most exciting thing, Leah, is I'll say to them, you know yourself, this just didn't happen overnight. And they'll go, no, it didn't. You know, for the last year or two, life's been knocking at your door. Spirit's been trying to wake you up, and they go, yes, actually, that's true. It's not like you're all of a sudden rocking in the fetal position in a psych ward, is it?
No.
No way.
Yeah. You didn't just get up and start carrying on like that.
Yeah, and remember, this whole crisis, and I hate it being called a crisis. To me, it's brilliant what's going on in the States at the moment, because it's an awakening.
Yeah.
This whole awakening that's going on in America. Remember only 5 years ago or so, my family had a company that went public.
Yep.
That public company was, you know, listed on the stock market. Family were worth in excess of $100 million. And only a few years ago, that company crashed.
Wow.
And went through bankruptcy, the whole thing. I've been there, done that.
Yep.
I know what it's like to be intimately involved with the loss of tens of millions of dollars. I have seen it. I've seen how it manifests in people, and people who are so attached to their ego not being able to comprehend who they are after it's happened. So bring on America and bring on me going over there to actually show people there's another way, and to not end up addicted to the pharmaceuticals companies' depression tablets either. That is what I'm really have a core fear of. I don't have a lot of fear, but I do have that at the moment, that the pharmaceutical companies, with all the depression that's going to happen in America, are going to have a field day selling depression tablets to people, when this could be the most beautiful awakening for that country, to help them see the truth of where they are, to help them connect to their soul and their soul's story, instead of what this whole delusional matrix of more and more and greed.
Because
so let's just see what happens when we get over there. Because I went through my depression, I went through my breakdown drug-free.
Yeah.
And I know if I can do it, I know other people can too.
Because I was thinking at the beginning when you're talking about Troy, where he was saying, you know, that I've done everything that the West told me I would do to have a fantastic life. Do you think a lot of the reason why people play the stock market, get the bigger boat, get the Ferrari, move to that part of town, is because they're thinking at some point something's going to kick in and I'm going to start feeling really good, because this is what society has told me means that, everything I'm doing means I'm a success. So therefore I'm going to start feeling wonderful and successful anytime soon, aren't I?
Yeah, and I think it is, you know, like following the breadcrumbs, or maybe it's the next breadcrumb. Maybe it's the next breadcrumb. Maybe that's when I'm going to get to the X, you know, where the X is the spot.
Yeah.
And it just gets more and more and more. And, you know, I have an issue with a lot of entrepreneurs. It's always about goal setting. Get to the next goal, get to the next goal, get to the next goal. But you know what? You end up having like a guilty, like an unintentional guilty subconscious thing that goes on. Now, guilt is one of the lowest forms of energy on the planet. Shame is the lowest, but guilt is just above shame. Now, here we go. We have, just say, a multi-millionaire's out there making a crap load of money. He's got the trophy wife, got the couple of kids in the private school, driving around the Ferrari, and he's like getting to his next goal. And he gets to the next goal, and that hole in him is not filled. Guess what comes up? A bit of guilt. Because I was told by the West that if I did get that hole would be filled. That hole cannot be filled by anything in this material world. It is a spiritual hole. It is a connection and a remembrance to your truth of who you are. Now, we don't get told that by marketing companies, and I was in marketing. Can I let you know? My job in marketing is to prove that you are broken to buy my product. Advertising companies make millions of dollars proving you are broken without my product. If if you've got blonde hair, I can prove to you that you need brown hair. If you've got 1 kilo of weight on you, I'll prove that you need to take 2 off. We are taught to teach you that there's something wrong with you. So this is where we need to sort of get our heads around. If the marketing and advertising companies are taught to do this, and then then someone goes out and gets a Ferrari, and they get all the stuff, and they're still convinced that they're broken, they're never ever going to feel whole and complete.
So really,
so we're in another opportunity to really evolve to a space where we can actually tap into a space within us that can be filled. If we allow to go through this change, this transformation, and allow ourselves to naturally and organically transpire to another level of evolution.
Yeah.
You ain't going to do that with resistance.
Exactly, and I've got this kind of vision of Troy having all his millions and probably as much, if not more, than what he did have, but now he's really, really enjoying them like he possibly never thought that he would ever be able to, because he's got this happiness coming out from within.
Well, he said to me, and it's in the book, and the great part about the book is we actually said, look, let's just throw it all out there. We're going to throw out our emails, our text messages. We're going to throw out the private world of what we did with the coaching, okay? So, and he kept all the emails, and I didn't, because I'm really in the moment and I don't sort of hold on to stuff. But he did, being, an entrepreneur who likes to control things. So it was good when we were writing the book. He went back to those emails and we could include them into the book itself. So it's sort of like you get a really intimate viewing of our private coaching. But in one of those emails you'll see is he talks about meditation and about how he cannot quieten down, and because an entrepreneur doesn't, their mind's going dit, 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 the whole time. They want, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's my next high? They're adrenaline junkies. They live on that adrenaline. And it doesn't matter how wealthy you are or how successful you are. When the physical body has had enough and it needs to stop, it will stop. And that's what a nervous breakdown does. Okay? So, but in one of those emails he talks about quieting his mind down and meditation. And all I said to him back was basically, you need something that keeps you in the moment. And so what he did was, I race cars. I race cars, of course. He's an entrepreneur. Why not do something, at another level to us normal folk?
Yeah.
I race cars. And I said, okay, so when you're racing cars, do you think about anything else but being in the car and being on the road? He said no. So what he did was he started to do, that was his meditation, was being in the moment. And even with the adrenaline there, I just got him to see something that was in the moment. And from that one experience, he then started going, what else is it that brings me in the moment? And he lives on the Brisbane River and on a house right on the river. And every afternoon at 5:30, he goes out and he watches the sunset. Because he could basically spend 200 days out of a year all over the world, he sort of said to me once, he said, the only thing that's the same is the sun going up and the sun going down. I have to see the sun go down. It doesn't matter what part of the world I am. I love seeing the sun going down in the afternoon. It shows me the day's finished. But it's the one thing that doesn't matter where I am or what I'm doing, it's the same. So, and then he started realizing that was part of his meditation. So he got to understand that was something free. That was something the universe had given him and had made him absolutely connect to the moment. This is what happens with people like that. They see, what is it that I don't need without throwing a crap load of money at to get my connection to?
Did you point out to him that he also couldn't control the sun going up and down?
Well, I didn't, That's very good. Thank you for coaching me.
I was just thinking, it's funny how easily he surrendered that because he knew he could not control it in any way. On a universal level, did not matter what Troy did, that sun was going up, that sun was going down, with or without him.
Yep. Well, I will mention that to him when I speak to him next time. Because it is. It's absolutely true. You know, and it's the thing that he absolutely just, actually, there's a point where he's like, I've just got to go and watch that now. And it is, so he's connecting to a space in him that is absolutely doing the law of surrender in his meditation process.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you ever get him on the crystal bed?
Yes, he's been on the crystal bed, and it's just, amazing to have a crystal bed that is attracting so many different people, you know. And for those of you who don't know what the crystal bed, it's a healing tool, an apparatus that I created, and it has crystals all around it, and I lie the person on this bed and I do energy healing work with them where I do clearing and balancing. I'm a Reiki master, but I'm not doing Reiki, but it's energy clearing. And Troy had a phenomenal experience the first time he went on, and he thought that that I was, you know, holding his hands and I was at his feet. And he said it really blew his mind because he felt that there was like an extra set of hands in the room, you know, because he was like, and there was this warmth and a heat coming through him he'd never experienced before, you know, because it's the pure energy.
Yeah.
And that sort of blew his mind a bit because, but what's so great about the crystal bed, because there's a lot of things that happen in that energetic experience that you can't explain. You know, people will feel heat in an area that I'm not touching. Sometimes I don't even touch the body at all. And they're feeling like wind blowing over them, or they see lights flashing. And it blows the logical mind sort of, you know, out the doorway.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying to them all the time is I'm connecting from soul to soul. This is a soul experience. Your soul has called you here today. Let logic and reason just fly out the window for the next half an hour. And it's amazing. I get so many people go, wow, this happened and that happened and this happened and that happened. And did you flash lights around my head? What was going on there? Did you put heat coming up through my feet and I felt it up through my spine? I'm just standing here and I'm sending out the love. So yeah, he was there, and I've had a lot of men in suits, you know, climb up onto that crystal bed and lie there and do their meditation practice, and a lot of them come back continuously to learn how to relax.
I've got this vision of all these entrepreneurs and these CEOs running around with their crystal mat as a essential piece of luggage, you know.
The crystal, well, they do, and you know, I say, is it doesn't matter wherever you are in the world, if you take your crystal bed meditation mat, the one with all the crystals attuned to the bed, with you, it's like you have got a portable sacred space everywhere you go. So they'll do it in their hotel room. They'll lie on the crystal bed mat in their hotel room, and they'll just put it out there and they'll do their meditation. Some people come into the room and they bring a digital recorder with them. And what I'll do is I'll do a 30 to 45 minute meditation where I'll speak into the digital recorder, and it's their private meditation.
Right.
So then they go and use it afterwards. And people get amazing response with how deep they can go in that stillness. So I'm a very lucky woman, I think.
You are. And is that where the crystal bed meditation mats stem from? The fact that so many people said, I want to take the bed with me. And you said, well, you
everyone
can't.
Everyone wants the bed. Everyone loves the crystal bed. And I just registered thecrystalbed.com.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm going to, I'm going to do essences and oils and, you know, face creams and all that sort of stuff with the energy of the bed and with crystals in it. Because so many people have said, I need to experience this. This is amazing. But, and I've had people fly from all over the world, from Europe, from America, New Zealand, Asia, all over the world to come and experience this amazing energy tool. And then I just went, you know what? I've got to do something where I can actually give something to them where they don't need to fly. But I'm thinking of when I get back from the States next year is taking the crystal bed on a national tour.
Yay!
Yay! And doing live psychic shows around the country with the crystal bed and actually showing them the power of that amazing, channeled thing that I created. I sort of sit back and I go, wow, I was only in marketing and public relations, and I was, married to the corporate man in the $1 million house only like 5 years ago, and now I'm like a psychic coach with a crystal bed.
It's an extraordinary journey, and I mean, I was just looking at everything you've done this year. I mean, Maria's webpage, again, for everybody, is mariaelita.com. Get along there, and if you just have a look, I mean, you've got the free book. There's lots of free stuff on Maria's site, which I love. You've got the tuition stuff. You can see everything. You've had a great time with Charmaine and Scott. Charmaine Wilson.
I must say, we did... when Charmaine Wilson won the one show, Charmaine is one of my best friends, and I knew she was going to win the one, not just because I was psychic, because she is an amazing woman who has freakish talent. But that woman has been to hell and back to get that. So I hear people saying, I wish I was as psychically talented as Charmaine. I go, no, you don't, because that woman has lost a child, daughter was killed in a drink driving accident, her brother was killed in a motorbike accident, her dad's dead, her mother's dead. She went through a drug addiction, got herself out of that. That woman's been through the most amazing story to get where she is, but she is, if anyone can go and see her around the country, I've never seen anyone with the gift that this woman has. And to be honoured enough to do a show with her this year, and I did one with her last year as well, but to do one this year and have, 600 people, sold out performance. If we had a bigger venue, it would have been better because we're sold out. And then have Scott Alexander King, the animal psychic, as well, and do a trio show and do a super psychic show. We're looking at doing more again next year and taking around the country as well. So that was the highlight, I must say, of my year. It was the absolute highlight, working with two of Australia's phenomenal psychics and doing that. And I just hope to work a lot next year in that field again, and alongside the coaching as well, of course.
Yeah. Because, as you say, it all comes from the same place. It's all the same stuff. It's breakdown or breakthrough.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the thing is, when the power of a psychic is phenomenal, and a power can be abused. We can abuse power, and I'm very, very aware of how power can be abused. But the power of the psychic is phenomenal, where you can change people's lives. By someone coming into me and saying, Maria, I don't know if I'll ever be happy. What do you see in my future? And for me to be able to hold someone's hand and say, I see you changing your life and creating a fantastic future. And for that person to say, oh my God, the psychic saw that I'm going to have a happy life, is like a magic pill for some people. And I always ask Spirit, the universe, to see the good of people, the person's highest potential. I don't want to see the dark clouds. My job is, I am a spiritual illuminator. I see the light of that person to then illuminate them to that essence in them. I want to see their good. So when someone comes to me and they say, you know what, is it possible for me to change my life? Of course it is. To them, they come to a psychic who they believe can read their future. So there is very powerful indeed for them to have that. So, and that is what I love with the whole psychic show. I don't go into psychics who see curses and dark energy and all that hoo-ha. That is not what I do. And I will never do that. But it can be a very powerful place to work from to help people actually create the transformation themselves.
And I love the fact that you are very aware that, when a person comes to you, that they're actually wanting to have a conversation with their own soul, and that you're the, shall we say, the amplifier of that conversation of their own soul for them, because it's kind of like them talking to themselves, isn't it? But through you, and And you're very aware of that, and I love the fact that you're very, very keen to help. You're very, very keen to coach. You're very, very keen to assist. It's what you love. But at no stage do you stand up and say, "Oh, and by the way, I did that. That was me." You throw it back. You say, "That was you."
It isn't me.
Yeah, exactly.
And it isn't me because it's like when it's interesting. I had a gentleman who had a motorbike accident. He came in last week, but he had a motorbike accident a couple of months ago, and was in ICU and pretty much died and came back. And he's been lost ever since. And he just came in and saw me. He just wanted to know why he came back. That's what he wanted to know. So what we did was we did a soul-to-soul experience on the crystal bed, and I just helped him. Well, I actually took him through like a hypnosis meditative process where he actually got to connect to his soul, go over the other side, and actually find out for himself without the psychic telling him what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And we both came to the same conclusion anyway, of course. Mm. But he had chosen to stay to learn to love more. Mm. And that was his answer. Mm-hmm. It wasn't to learn to go on this stock market and find out how much to make more money. Mm. It wasn't to work harder. He'd actually found out himself it was to love more. Mm. And he said to me at the end of the experience, he says, I don't know what happened, but as soon as I sat in this room, I got emotional. And I said, because this room is set with the intention that all there is truth and we're working on the soul level. And to be in that level is emotional. It is very rare. I don't care who comes to me. If they have the biggest ego in town, it is very rare I don't get someone to have a tear or two. Mm-hmm. And I go, when I can hit that button, that's when they're getting real. Because if they can sit there and tell me, yes, I know how to be happy, I know what I need to manifest in my life, I know what I want, that's all hoo-ha and crap. I want them to get to a point where they're pretty much down on their knees saying, I give up, I'm going to give up to the universe, and I'm willing to do things in a different way, and I'm willing to get emotional and feel what I've been trying to numb for the last 10 years of my life. That's when the great stuff happens. So bring on the tears.
Do you I was just thinking, I wonder if America has any idea what is...
What's going to hit them?
What's going to hit them?
Oh, and I was at this function last night, and there was international guests. It was awesome. It was fabulous. It was just amazing. Anyway, and there was all these international guests and these a lot of men from these entrepreneurs organisations, and they were emailing and texting their American comrades, and they were saying, Maria Elita's coming to America, you better watch out.
Yeah.
Because she's going to be coaching you, and your life is going to change. And I was just standing there so profound going, wow, my work is done. These boys are promoting me, and I don't even have to spend a cent. And because they are a testimony, to themselves. And it's interesting because boys like that always say, oh, my mate, if anyone can fix him, it's you. And I just turn around and I go, but he's not broken anyway. They look at me like, oh, crazy lady knows it again. But, look, it's going to be very exciting. And I'm going to, I've always seen myself based in America. Mm-hmm. This is not a shock to me. I've always seen myself being over there at a time where there will be a very profound change. So it's perfect for the book to come out. And this book, we had sent it to Australian publishers in the beginning, and they rejected it and said, no, really don't want that. So we sent it to the American publishers, and they said, we love it. Bring you over. So if it was released in Australia first, it wouldn't have that profound impact as it is in the States with what's happening at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's already been sold to Australian publishers, to New Zealand. It's got New Zealand rights, Australian rights, Southeast Asia. We're looking at Korea, Japan, and China being translated. And all those, publishing rights are getting sorted out at the moment. So it's going to be translated in about 7 or 8 countries and organised before it even hits the streets in America on November 17. So that's pretty exciting on my behalf.
It is very exciting, and as you say, perfect for what is meant to be and why it's supposed to be happening.
Absolutely. And I've got 3 children that I'll be leaving. I mean, they're teenagers, but I've prepared them for the last 3 years, and I've told them I will be going to America. I will be working there. and I will be travelling and commuting. And they know this has been going to happen, and they're pretty excited about it as well.
So it really kind of has been your miracle year. Have you been reading your own book?
The Miracle Year, the ebook?
Yeah.
I live the miracle all the time, and it's so funny. Again, I'll talk about this function I was at last night, and I was sitting next to this guy who I'd never met before, and he asked me a question, and he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I don't want to get you in coaching mode." And I said, "Do you understand who I am? I live this way. You don't. It's not a 9 to 5. I'm not going to give you a card to say, oh, wait till Monday. Oh, I'm booked out for the rest of the year, so we can't wait till Monday. But wait till 2009 September when I can get you in to see me." But I said, I live this. I breathe this. If you ask me a question, you get the answer because it's coming from my soul. I can't put that on hold for you. And he asked away. I mean, it was synchronicity that sat him right next to me at this function.
Yeah.
And it was something that was plaguing him. And it was about control and fear. And I gave him the answer, and he just said, "That's exactly what I needed to hear." So this is the thing. It's not a 9 to 5 thing. It's not something that's, a career. It's not a job. And when you're working on that soul level for everybody, it becomes your whole way of being.
Somebody once wrote to me the first time I had you on Ghost Radio. I get feedback of guests and what have you, and so I think I forwarded the email to you where somebody just wrote to me and they said, "Maria Elita, wow, what a powerhouse."
Yeah, when I went to the States a little while ago, and I was in Canyon Ranch. I don't know if I've told you this, Leah.
No.
But I was in Canyon Ranch, and I was there, and I was sort of, hanging out with some really cool people. And I went and had a Reiki treatment, I think. And I walked in, and I think he was like half Indian guy, and I walked into the room, and he just stood back, and I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Oh my, you've got an affinity to the wind." And I said, "To the wind?" I said, yeah, I'm a Gemini. I've got all my planets in air. I don't have any in Earth. Yes, of course I have an affinity to the wind. He goes, "No, Maria, you are the wind." And he said, "When you walk into a room, it's like the wind enters with you. You are the wind."
Oh.
And it was really cosmic, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
So I had this thing when, and Troy said that. He said the first thing he said, it was like I'd walked in and a gush of wind had walked in with me. It was like, and it's like, all it is I'm so connected to that soul space, and it is like just this amazing cleansing thing that happens to people, that they then connect to that and go, "Wow, what was that?" It's their soul being mirrored back to them. That's the trick.
Yeah.
I don't do nothing. It's so tricky. They think it's something cosmic that I'm doing. It's like, I'm just mirroring your soul because, as you know, in the miracle, when I had that miracle experience, I just realised we all are one anyway. So I'm just mirroring what is me, and they're mirroring what am I.
Yeah. It's all interconnected. She is a powerhouse, I tell you. MariaElita.com is the website. Again, of course, it's available on Ghost Radio's webpage. You can see Maria's gorgeous face there. Just want to kiss it. And then you can connect on through to Maria's website from there. She is booked out, but she's got plenty of books available, and there are the crystal mats you can get, and she's going to be away until next year, and we wish her the very best, but she'll be back next year and doing more super psychic shows and more speed psychic readings that she does, which you've got to see to be to believe. So I can't thank you again, Maria, for being my guest, and what can I say to America except for, she's on her way.
Oh, look, I am excited, and I love and thank you for all your support, and it's just been amazing the level of support I've had, and the emails, and people just saying, "Oh, this is such an amazing opportunity," and I do know it is. So thank you so much, and thank you for being my first interview for the Naked Entrepreneur.
Always.
So it's really good. So so the Virgin experience is over. I can now go out there and talk about it on a level to everyone that. I feel really confident about it, so it's going to be good. So thank you so much, Leah.
It's a pleasure, always. Okay, that's Underworld for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe, and blessings to you all.
You've been listening to Australia's own Underworld Show with host Lia Ramses. The Underworld Show is produced in Perth, Western Australia by iProdigy Communications exclusively for Ghost Radio Australia and the Ghost Radio Network. Tune in every Sunday at 8 p.m. Perth time to hear fascinating guests and topics such as the one you just listened to. For more information on upcoming guests, events, and breaking news, visit www.underworldshow.com or www.ghostradio.com.au.